Well, at 20 minutes to 5, we can now say the decision taken in 1975 by this country to join the common market has been reversed by this referendum to leave the EU. We are absolutely clear now that there is no way that the Remain side can win. It looks as though the gap's going to be something like 52 to 48, so a 4-point lead for leaving the EU. And that's the result of this referendum, which has been preceded by weeks and months of argument and dispute and all the rest of it. The British people have spoken, and the answer is we're out.
Awesome! Righteous! Bossa Nova!
What? Yeah? Bossa Nova?
Chevy Nova?
Oh.
Excellent! Yeah!
The politician Cecil Rhodes once remarked that to be born British was to win first prize in the lottery of life. And whatever you think of that statement, one thing is certain. It had been getting less and less true for most of the last century. We have seen an increasing reliance on state power and centralised economics in place of liberty and the free market, a watering down of our national identity through the policies of multiculturalism and mass immigration, and the development of a political class who seem utterly disinterested in even acknowledging, let alone serving, the common citizen. All in all, it's been pretty tough being a British patriot of late, so how wonderful that the gods of cosmic hope and justice decided to throw us the Brexit bone. And make no mistake, what we have achieved and will achieve through Brexit is almost certainly our finest moment as a nation since the Second World War. It is something we can be legitimately proud of. It's goodbye to self-appointed autocrats, disastrous economics, cultural suicide, this fucking madness, and that revolting flag. And it's hello to national sovereignty, democratic legitimacy, individually tailored global partnerships, border controls, and free trade. I mean, think of how exciting this is, especially for young people. It's like starting again. We're making our way as an independent country with the world as our oyster, off the back of our own blood, toil, tears, and sweat. It's fantastic. And that's all I wanted to say, really. So a big thank you to everyone who voted for this. Thanks to the YouTubers who campaigned for this. And now let's just move forward together and, for want of a better phrase, make Britain great again. What the fuck is that? Guys? Oh no, it's the Remoaners. What in God's name? No. Shame on you. No. What's the point? What is the point? It's over, lads. It's fucking over. The votes were cast. The decision is made. You just look bloody ridiculous. You lost, all right? I'm really sorry about that, but it's time to suck it up and move on.
After an election or a referendum, even if you lose the vote, you are entitled to go on making the argument. When a government in this country wins an election, the opposition does not just say, oh, that's absolutely right, I've got nothing to say for 5 years.
Oh, God, fine. So, basically, a bunch of champagne socialists have a beef with Brexit, and last week managed to put down their copies of Das Kapital long enough to take to the streets and whine about it. But okay, I'm game. Let's hear them out. I'm sure they're smart people, and that since the vote they have developed a range of thoughtful, reason-based arguments that make the case for Remain and advance the discussion in new and useful directions. So, in that spirit, bring it on.
You know, in 20 years' time, I'm 19 years old, like, we're going to be people running the country, and I'm quite sick of, like, the individual view on what's best for me or what's best for you. What about, like, what's best for all of us?
For all of us? Oh, you mean the greater good.
The greater good.
Well, first of all, I'm sure you think you're entitled to run the country, but that's not actually a given. But more importantly, why do you have the insolence to assume that your opinion is the one that benefits the majority? I'm an individualist and a believer in freedom, okay? So I don't much care for your community-based political utopia, alright? But if you seriously believe that the European Union is what's best for us all, I just invite you to open any newspaper. I mean, which particular European policy do you think is best for us all? The common currency policy? Is that best for us all? Or what about Merkel's migration madness? Everyone's loving that, aren't they? Everyone feels really taken care of. Which is precisely why we see a deepening in the political divide, the staunch polarization of communist cucks on the one hand and fascist fucktards on the other. Clearly the fruits of a system that is really working for the people. Yeah. If this is your idea of life, once we've all banded together and considered the collective, I'll stick with classical liberalism, thanks.
Today because I'm devastated about the referendum result.
You're not happy?
It's a travesty of our generation, and it just like represents how sort of like damaging right-wing media and the tabloids can be, and how like exploitative they are of like migration fear, and just how sort of like misinformed so many people are in their choice to vote.
Yeah, they disagree with you, so they must be misinformed, we know. What I'd like to hear, though, is an actual argument, because that was nothing. I mean, that was just a highly emotive waste of oxygen. I'll prove it to you. Pretend for a second that the Remain side won the vote, okay? No, don't hang yourselves, they haven't actually. I'm just trying to demonstrate that in this alternative reality, and as a Brexiteer, I can spew exactly the same crap at the camera and steal everybody's precious time. Watch. I'm here because I'm devastated about the referendum result. I think it's a travesty of our generation and just sort of like represents how damaging the left-wing media and tabloids can be, and how exploitative they are of unemployment fear, and just sort of like how misinformed so many people are in their choice to vote. Ugh. Go back to school.
Because we're stronger together, no borders.
Slogans are not arguments. Stronger together, except for the Tories, presumably. If that post has anything to go by, they're not included. Stronger together. What the hell does that even mean, anyway? The philosophy of the ant people, or the sheep people is probably more accurate. And no borders. Brilliant. Just, sorry miss, but your application for Chief of National Security for the United Kingdom has been unsuccessful. Holy shit. Okay, why am I even responding to this person? She's a member of the British Socialist Party. What are you even doing there? Move to Russia. You'll love it. Or better still, come to China. It's great. I mean, sure, there's human rights abuses aplenty, no political freedom, and tanks drive over protesters holding signs like that. But hey, that's cool. After all, it's all for the greater good.
Shut it! These kids here, they're like 14, 16 years old, and this is our future. It's almost like the older generations have voted us out of the European Union completely against our will.
The older people are deciding young people's futures, and I think it's ridiculous.
Like everyone who has voted is kind of older generation, so us millennials are now stuck with this deal that we can't now control.
And it's not going to affect them, really.
And yeah, they're going to die before they have to deal with it, so we're stuck with it now. So yeah, not great.
Charming, yeah. I wouldn't worry about a kid. At the rate you're currently eating, I'm sure you'll be dead long before your parents, so relax. Ugh. Let's just get this straight. It is certainly true that older people voted for Brexit. In fact, the older you are, the more likely you were to vote for Brexit. Well, guess what? That provides additional evidence, as far as I'm concerned, that the right decision was taken. Young people are fucking idiots. And who doesn't know that? Oh, young people voted for Remain? What, you mean the young, inexperienced, self-centered people who live off their parents and learnt what taxes were like 5 minutes ago? Those young people? Yeah, let's just do what they want. In fact, each young person should really get 2 votes, right? I mean, it's only fair given their superior quantities of wisdom and insight.
I just wish that our parents and our grandparents would have thought of their children and our generation, because we're going to be the ones bearing the crux of this decision.
Have you ever heard such gross levels of immaturity and self-entitlement? Maybe they were thinking about you, you little brat. Maybe they listened to your nonsense arguments in support of Remain and said, no, they don't really make sense, do they? We're not doing that. Maybe they're also thinking about you when they tell you to obey the speed limit, brush your teeth and study for your exams. You might not want to do any of those things either, but you're a child. You don't know nout. How about paying attention to the one group of people whose job it is to guide the young and protect them from themselves, amongst other things? How about paying attention to the one group of people who have experience living with the European Union and without it? Maybe, and it's a novel idea, I know, but bear with me, you can actually learn something from them. Fucking unbelievable.
A lot of people, it's like scaremongering, and like I said, a bit of racism plays into it. You can see, if this has shown us anything, it's definitely there's still class war.
Goddamn hippie!
Whoa, dude! Not cool! What's up?
It's been really emotional, and you can kind of tell there's a change in mood on the festival today. Everything's a bit more morose and a bit more sad.
What's going on in this world of mine? There's a whole lot of killing in this world of mine. Somebody's got to help this world of mine.
The only reason that people really voted was a vote of, I think, to say up yours to the government and the austerity. But in fact, it's going to cause more austerity.
Oh, fancy that, folks. A mind reader and a fortune teller all in one. A vote against austerity. What are you talking about? The British people had the chance to vote against austerity last year at the general election, and they didn't. They voted to continue the economic policies of Cameron and Osborne. Look, I can understand you wanting to bring everything back to the specific issues that you're interested in, but we're talking about the European Union today.
So I'm here today really to say that I would like to stay in Europe, and I'm dressed as King Canute.
It's an anagram of Canute,
who is a king of England that came over from Denmark. And most of our monarchs have actually been from Europe. I don't think a single one is from Britain itself, England.
What point are you making? Seriously, answers below. What does he think he's doing with those words? Our monarchies of mixed ancestry, therefore, let's remain in an anti-democratic political union that destroys our national sovereignty, makes laws that bypass parliament, damages our economic prospects, and that the people don't want to be a part of. I mean, Jesus Christ. Can't we find just one Remainer from planet Earth, please?
We need to be positive. A negative world that's pulling apart. We tried that in the 30s. It doesn't work. Hatred, separation.
That fucking hat. That fucking hat. How many times have I told you? Don't wear that fucking hat here. How many?
Oh lordy lord, and here he is, Brexit's undercover agent, and I mean that sincerely. I mean, if anyone else has done more to push the fence-sitters over to my side, I haven't found them. He has been such an insufferable bully on this issue over the past months that I think a lot of Remainers have noticed it. It's been that bad. And here we go again. Hatred and separation, we tried that in the 30s. Well, excuse me. Agree with him or you're a Nazi, is essentially what he's saying. If you ever needed a taste of the kind of smug, stupid dogma that has inspired so many people to vote Leave on June 23rd, look no further than Eddie Izzard.
Just negativity towards people, disliking people for skin colour, religion, colour of their eyes, length of their hair, sexual orientation. It does not work. It just tears us apart. And young people see this. Young people say, well, this is a positive. I've got my whole life in front of me. Young people are now registered and pissed off, I think. And so that is something to work with. We've got to go forward now. Now it's the next chapter.
I did philosophy, and after a few weeks, you had to choose your options for the 3 years. And compulsory subjects were logic and Greek philosophy, and you had to choose about 6 others. And I chose philosophy of science, philosophy of mind, morality. And there was a Marxism option. And I thought, that'd be great, I've always been interested in that, and I could do it. And it was only a small department, 25 people, and the tutors were all out, and you had to queue up and tick the thing you wanted. And I looked over at the queue for Marxism, and there were 10 people in this queue. 3 of them were wearing berets. And I thought, God, I can't spend 3 years in a room with what I used to call at the time, cunts.
Now, there's some myths thrown at this rally by our opponents, and they're worth just taking on.
Owen Jones.
How old are you? 21? No, for fuck's sake! Look at your mother's milk still wet in your face. Make it convincing.
The man, and I use the noun loosely, who could literally keep the alt-right in memes from now until the next ice age, probably. I can't wait to hear this.
They're telling us that we're attacking people who voted leave, millions of decent people in this country who did so. But that's just not true.
Isolated country. Go and watch your economy fail. Go on, Mugabe's waiting for you. Go on, off you go. Go on, Robert Mugabe's waiting for you in his impoverished 2-pot pisshole. That's all you want to go. Go on, go and live there. You want to ruin the country? Go after Mugabe. Go on, he'll be happy to have you. Stupid woman.
Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you!
Why shame on you?
Fuck off.
I'm from Great Britain.
Are you?
Indeed. So
well, you stabbed us in the back, my friend.
So why
now go and fuck off.
Yeah, it would appear that some of the lower orders didn't get that particular memo, Comrade Jones. It's fucking embarrassing. And as a side note, this is just a general public service announcement. If, while in the UK, you see a group of people holding up a British flag and your instinct is to shout fascist at them, seriously, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out of my country. That's all.
Instead, we're taking on the politicians who led the Leave campaign, who based their entire campaign on lies and stirring up bigotry in this country. Those are the people we're taking on.
Are you saying all, Owen Jones? Are you saying the entire campaign was based on lies and bigotry? Hashtag all? It's truly amazing. The more I listen to regressives, the more I understand that so much of this obsession with calling out decent people as bigots or simple-minded ideologues is in fact Freudian projection of the most transparent kind. Now, I don't know about lies told on behalf of Vote Leave. I'm perfectly prepared to accept that the odd misleading statement was put about here and there, but to pretend for a second that this practice was exclusive to my side, well, you'd have to be as fucking thick as Owen Jones.
This is a dangerous fantasy. The idea that there's going to be a European Air Force, a European army, it is simply not true. The problem with people like Nigel Farage is they swing at windmills. They see conspiracies everywhere. I wouldn't be surprised if Nigel Farage soon tells us that the moon landing was a fake, that Barack Obama isn't American, that Elvis isn't dead.
The European Union should have its own army to convey a clear message to Russia, says Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker. The EU chief made the remarks to German newspaper Welt am Sonntag. In reference to Ukraine, Juncker added that with its own army, Europe could react more credibly to the threat to peace in a member state or in a neighbouring state.
Maybe some point down the line there might be a UK-US trade agreement, but it's not going to happen anytime soon because our focus is in negotiating with a big bloc, the European Union, to get a trade agreement done. And UK is going to be in the back of the queue.
Mr. President, you came to London earlier this year and urged the British people not to vote for Brexit and warned them that they'd be at the back of the queue for a trade deal if they did. Do you accept you got it wrong on Brexit, and do you regret making that threat, or are you really going to punish us for taking a democratic decision?
What I've committed to Theresa is that we will consult closely with her as she and her government move forward with the Brexit negotiations to ensure that we don't see adverse effects in the trading and commercial relationships between the United States and the United Kingdom.
By 2030, households would be £4,300 worth off. Here's the poster. You even stood in front of the poster there. There's your figure. But the Treasury report doesn't say families would be £4,300 worse off, does it? It's a bogus and misleading figure.
Well, that's not the case. That is how much per household our GDP would shrink. And if you look at...
Oh, no, it's not shrinking. On either scenario, in or out, the Treasury report showed substantial growth in our economy to 2030.
The question on the
Not shrinking.
Hold on, Andrew. The question on the 23rd of June is, what does the world look like if we're in the European Union or if we leave the European and quit it, right? And families would be £4,300 a year worse off.
No, they wouldn't.
As a proportion,
their income.
as a share of their GDP. Well,
but it doesn't mention their income.
Their incomes would be hit. And, hold on, the wealth of the nation that provides the public services they depend on. You know, leave that picture up because people need to know.
I will leave it up.
Right, leave it up because people need to know
Chancellor,
what is
I will
at
leave
stake
it up,
for real
and they
people.
do know about, because I'm going to put what the Treasury Select Committee said about your £4,300 under that picture. This is not what the main Treasury analysis found, says the Select Committee. The average impact on household disposable incomes would be considerably smaller than this number. Neither government departments nor the Remain side should repeat this mistaken assertion. To persist with this claim would be to misrepresent the Treasury's own work. Why are you misrepresenting your own department?
Not good.
Bit not good, yeah.
The future of young people is tied up with the future of Europe. Today, issues that affect young people transcend national borders. We have to have greater international cooperation, and the European Union is one forum by which we can do that. But of course, the European Union is not perfect. In my view, I want us to remain, but I also want to see the European Union reformed to make it more democratic, transparent and accountable to the people, to make it more democratic and to decentralise the European Union, to give more power and authority to the individual regions within countries right across Europe.
Oh, this is so depressing. Now, I quite like Peter Tatchell, all right? But this is an argument from another century by this point. We'd all like the European Union to be something it's not, Peter. I mean, what are you saying? Let's stay in the EU? It's great as long as we fundamentally change every single aspect of it? Come on. Be serious. Reform in the direction you are advocating was proposed decades ago. It's perfectly clear they don't want to do that. In fact, they're going in the opposite direction, despite what Nick Clegg might think. You're selling magic beans, sir, and I suspect that you're aware of it.
We cried, like, when I heard, I just fell to the floor on my knees. I was like, oh my God. I felt dizzy. I think the whole country felt a bit nauseous.
I didn't.
Well, at least half of us did.
Less than half.
I felt in denial, like, no, this cannot happen.
Cameron should be tried.
But I think ultimately...
Oh, Jesus. Did you hear that guy in the background? David Cameron should be tried for treason! Presumably with the 17 million people who voted leave, yeah? Do you want to try us all at once? Or... Hang on a minute. I know the perfect judge we could use too, look.
Now what will it be? Death or exile?
David Cameron's committed treason, has he? Why? Because he asked people a question. This is why these individuals are known as the Remaniacs, everybody. What a fucking nutter.
Very well. Death by exile.
It's a complex issue. Shame on you. I think. Shame on you. Shame on you. Peace. Kindness. Respect.
Yeah, I think you're in the minority there, darling, to be honest, but I wish you well with it. Look, I don't want this to come across as if I think there are no decent arguments on the Remain side, nor that I have a contempt for every Remainer. In fact, most I know have accepted the decision to leave and are now focusing their efforts on advocating for the best deal for Britain and for Europe, and good for them. But if this fraction of bedwetters and loonies we've seen here today really want to turn back the clock and persuade Britons that they've made the wrong choice, they're going to have to do a hell of a lot better than this.
Beret? No. Beret? What is that? What kind of hat is that? It's a frisbee. It's a beret. It's when some bloke, he does philosophy for a week, or he's sort of doing French cooking, and he comes in to the student union with a beret on and a goatee, and the first thing you do is take it off and throw it out the window. Of course you do. Because you're with the cool people, and he's going, oh, that's really funny, isn't it? Yeah. So mature. Yeah. And you go, no, it's not mature, but it's funny. We're just having a laugh. Anyone you see wearing a beret in the student union or in a pub, just pop it off, frisbee it across the... I'll tell you, you will be the most popular bloke in that pub. Him like, he's got a piggy in the middle, you're just throwing it, to different people, it kind of bombs the pub. People, they leave the quiz machine, they come over, and they're joining in, and you're just he's screaming, please give me my beret back. In fact, I reckon if you threw it, and it hit the hardest bloke in the pub's pint neighbour, he'd look over, and they go, who did that? And I go, I did, but he was wearing it. And I go, fair enough, mate. And he... Do you know what I mean? Oh, yeah. He goes straight to the guy that was wearing the beret. What kind of a hat is that? It's French. I mean, there's the point. That's the answer. I don't want to get you on French people. No, I know, but all I would say to you is he's got no brim. You see, that can be healthy.